And I'm David Berlin.
Welcome to Information Week's Valley View, live here at our headquarters in San Francisco.
Now, Fritz, this is our first Information Week Valley View, so why don't you explain for our in-studio audience and those online what Valley View is all about?
Valley View is a monthly live web show. We've got a live studio audience in here with us today to launch things off, but we're going to be talking every month here in San Francisco about all of the new technology, products, and innovations happening in the Valley. And we've got a pretty stellar lineup here for our first show.
We sure do. We're going to start off with Aaron Levy, who is the founder and CEO of one of the hottest companies in the Valley, Box.net. And then after that, we're going to talk a little bit about OpenFlow. We're going to be talking to a company called Big Switch. OpenFlow is a standard in the virtualized network space. And then batting cleanup, we're going to have the chairman of HP, Ray Lane. And finally, we're going to have some fun. We're going to be looking at some cool gizmos for your favorite geek for the holidays.
Great. Well, before we get started, I always like to start off with a little news, what's happening around the Valley. So, Apple Siri, for instance, has been in the news, the voice recognition assistant for the iPhone. Apparently, it's got a thing against abortion clinics. According to the ACLU and corroborated by other news outlets, iPhone users can use Siri to find abortion clinics. Siri quickly issued her own apology, but then added, "I'm still against gay marriage and the estate tax." Further research has revealed that Siri also won't take users to the websites for the Departments of Commerce, Energy, and, well, I forget the third one. Rumors have surfaced that Microsoft is once again thinking of investing in or acquiring Yahoo. Microsoft made a similar attempt in 2008 with a $45 billion unsolicited bid. The company's market value has fallen in recent years to about $20 billion. Rumor has it that after acquiring Yahoo, Microsoft will make a bid for Google Wave, will bring back Windows Vista, and then buy MySpace from Justin Timberlake right after putting the band NSYNC back together. Tech IPOs are also big again. Zynga, makers of Farmville, has filed for its initial public offering and is expected to raise $1 billion. The company, arguably the most successful in creating virtual goods, is estimated to have a market cap of about $7 billion. As a point of comparison, U.S. subsidies for real farms will be about $10 billion this year. Facebook, the social media giant, settled its battle with the FTC over privacy violations and is required to provide consumers with clear notice and obtain explicit consent when sharing information beyond normal privacy settings. The commissioners also asked Zuckerberg to please remove some of the drunk status updates and compromising photos taken during the FTC's holiday party. President Obama recently ordered all government agency records to move to the cloud. Yes, that's right, our president is all about virtualization. Now, in a little-known follow-up executive order, he asked that all agency applications be written in Ruby or Python. Apparently, a group of Columbia University students claimed to have found a bug that could be used to overwhelm HP LaserJet printers to the point where they catch fire. Also recently, an iPhone caught fire on an Australian flight. Environmentalists immediately proclaimed these incidents as further signs of global warming. And Samsung is also busy at work finding out how they can make their phones catch on fire too. It looks like sometime in the future we'll see a new battle between Microsoft and Apple TV on the user interface front. Microsoft is reportedly working on using its Kinect technology for motion sensing TVs using hand gestures. Apple will count on Siri, where users will give voice commands to the TV. Siri will reportedly block access to any shows featuring Keith Olbermann, Bill Maher, and Rachel Maddow. I don't know if you heard about this, but apparently AT&T is fast at work on a partnership for connected clothing aimed at the healthcare market. AT&T's network will be the wireless fabric for sensors that can communicate vital signs from patients' clothing to doctors. Yes, that's right, AT&T's rock-solid network, folks. This way you don't have to experience drop calls during emergencies, only your clothing will. This just in, new HP CEO Meg Whitman changed her mind again on the PC business and put the company's personal systems group for sale on eBay. To celebrate, she set fire to a few LaserJet printers. And finally this, from the world's stupidest apps department. Sir Mix-a-Lot, baby Baby Got Back app. The company says, and I quote, "The app comes fully packed with a buttload of hands-on features which include a mix makeover photo lab so you can manipulate your photos, allowing you to blow up your assets to suit your taste." David, you can't make this stuff up.
No, you can't make this stuff up at all.
All right, well, that's the news from the Valley. So
Okay.
who's our first guest?
Well, our first guest, as I said earlier, Aaron Levie. He's the founder and CEO of Box.net. He joins us already here in the live studio. So, Aaron, welcome very much.
Hello, how you doing? Great, great Silicon Valley jokes. Like those a lot.
Well, you like to take a few of your own little shots at Microsoft.
No.
And I'm just wondering, like, did you have a bad experience as a child? Did they steal your lunch money? Why are you so angry at Microsoft?
Actually, I grew up in Seattle, and I think maybe Paul Allen's mega yacht like ruined my swimming experience one too many times. So
Only when the helicopter was taking off from it, they went right.
yeah, only when they brought in the yacht on the yacht that they would do. So. Microsoft is an amazing company. I just think that in the past kind of 5 to 10 years, they haven't really responded to the market changes that now exist in our organizations. And when you look at how people want to share information, how they want to connect their data and their devices, they really have not responded and solved today's problems that businesses have.
Well, one of the questions I have is that, if you take the Microsoft stack, which is, typically SharePoint, you can add some of the social accoutrement with other add-ons like NewsGator. There's some cost involved. Are you guys sort of coming in as, not only a real solution to the problem that's integrated, but also something that undercuts the cost? Is that the attraction point for Box?
There's a couple things. So in the first wave of the cloud, what we saw is basically a reduction of cost because you could take software and deliver it over the web and have all this efficiency because we manage the infrastructure, and so we can do things at scale and get economies of scale with our technology. And that was really important. But what people realized was over time, the true cost of ownership of the technology was also dramatically less. So what's really interesting with SharePoint is for every $1 that's spent on SharePoint licenses, there's another $8 spent on all of the cost to maintain SharePoint, to integrate SharePoint, to deploy it and manage it in your organization. And all of that effectively comes for free with Box because we deliver it as a service. And on day one, you're getting this technology right over the web that you get to use instantly. And so that reduction in cost can tend to be pretty dramatic, where some customers pay us millions of dollars less than what they would be doing for Microsoft, which means that they can go save that money and spend it in more competitive and compelling areas of their business.
Well, I think that's a really good kind of setup for maybe your elevator pitch for Box.net. But you're making comparisons to SharePoint. A lot of people might think that Box.net is a Dropbox competitor. Show us, we got a little demo here, show us actually how it works. Why is it different? Why is it better than just cloud-based storage?
Yeah, well, so the one thing we like to say is that Box is basically what SharePoint would be if it worked. And what we do is we make it really, really easy for businesses to share and manage and access files from anywhere. So there's obviously a lot of consumer tools out there in our businesses and in our personal lives. And we take a lot of the ideals from the consumer web. So really easy ways to share information, really easy ways to connect your data, but bring that into the enterprise and do that in a way that's secure for organizations. That's why we have over 82% of the Fortune 500 using Box. We have over 100,000 organizations that are on the product. And that really is due to the scale and security that we've been able to embed into the product.
Before you go into the demo real quick, when you talk about the penetration, is that penetration at the department level, or are there people who are, so is this sort of like consumerization of IT? They came to know Box through the shared storage, but suddenly discovered other tools that would be useful to their jobs, and therefore now they're kind of elevating the presence of Box in enterprises?
It's a little of both. The really cool thing about our technology and this whole category of technology, so we have implemented a freemium business model, which means that users can take our technology and use it instantly for free at work. And so we tend to see a lot of penetration at the user and department and kind of team level, all the way on up to large parts of organizations. So Procter & Gamble implemented Box for 18,000 people in their business. So you really have a wide spectrum of how the product gets used and at what scale in those organizations.
And it runs on mobile platforms as well.
Yeah, so and we will get into the demo, but the really cool thing about kind of what we're doing, and I think a lot of cloud startups in general, is that we're building for mobile and web at the same time. And we're really focused on making sure you can have an integrated experience on the iPad, on the iPhone, on Android. If you're one of the sort of few dozen people out there that's using Windows mobile phones, you can use our HTML5 app on that device. So it's really, really easy to get to your content from anywhere. Versus if you look at what Microsoft or other players are doing in the space, they're very narrowly focused on their own platforms, which is not a very kind of customer-centric approach to this category.
Let's take a look.
Yep. So the really basic idea is that you should have access to all of your information wherever you are at any time. And so we basically give you full visibility into what's going on with your content. So this is my updates tab. You can basically think about it as a reverse chronological view of all of the things that are happening in my business. So I can see when people preview content or when people upload new versions of information.
Sexy database plan I saw in there.
We like to keep it fun even when we're talking about things like databases internally. So we have a really cool project with that. I can see when people upload information and update information. So we have live notifications that happen on the service. So it's really about how do I give you an instant view of what's going on in my business, and then people can actually communicate and collaborate around this content. So I could add a comment really easily with this, and if I wanted to add some information to this slide deck, I could do that very easily. So that's the update stream. And then we have obviously the sort of complete view of all of my information, which is basically the all files view. And this is a sort of a view of all of the data that I have access to. That's both my information, but also the information that I'm collaborating in and that has been created by other people. We also have a full text search engine, so I could search within all of the information in my box. So in my account specifically, I have about 100,000 files across my data and the people that I'm working with. And so to be able to search that instantly across all of that data without having to install any search engines or search appliances means some very powerful
Does that search
benefits.
the metadata alone, or do you also search into the files themselves?
Yeah, so we'll search within the content, within the data, as well as the meta information. So if I had a financial agreement or a financial report from 2006, within 1 second I could pull that up directly from any device. So we have an iOS launch that's going to be coming out pretty soon, which brings that integrated search experience as well to that device. So how do you get to your information from anywhere in which you're working? And then finally we have a whole application ecosystem. So once you have your data stored on Box, how do you connect that information up to the other devices, to the other platforms, and to the other software that you want to be able to work from? So whether that's NetSuite or Salesforce or Yammer or Chatter or Jive, any social platform or any other system where you want that data, we want you to be able to work from.
You guys talk a lot about open, and you've recently made some comments, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, about activity streams and open social maybe not being the right way to go for sharing activity streams between these different platforms.
Well, I think the space is very early, and I think we're still trying to figure out what syndication and federation of data is going to look like in the enterprise. You know, we sort of figured that out in the social world and in our consumer web because Facebook just had such great dominance in the category. In the enterprise, things are tending to split off and fragment a little bit more. There's not a single clear leader. There's actually different kinds of solutions that businesses want to be using. And so we have to have a really, really easy way that we can federate and syndicate the updates that you're doing on Box to the different platforms that you're using. And we work with a lot of different partners to make that possible. No specific single standard has emerged as sort of the leading way to do that, and we think in time that will happen because it'll increase innovation.
And another reason those standards I think are required is because when you're working with other companies, which is happening more and more these days, you're partnering with them and you need to monitor the same activity stream. You don't want to force them onto the same technology that you're on. So you need to federate. If they've picked, for example, Salesforce Chatter, you want to be able to federate your activity stream from Box with Salesforce Chatter rather easily.
Exactly, and the cool thing about the cloud, and this is really, I mean, this has sort of existed as I think a philosophy for some time, but really the cloud makes this possible, and actually, we both have a background in this on the Mashup side, but really we're seeing the creation of instead of vertically integrated stacks, rather horizontal applications that can work together because of APIs, because of openness and web services. So instead of going to Oracle or Microsoft, which wants to sell you the entire stack of technology, whether it's SharePoint and Exchange and Office and their Business Dynamic products, they want you to buy everything from them all at once. And we see a world where people want Salesforce and they want Workday and they want NetSuite and they want Yammer and they want Box, and how do you make that all work together? So you have to have openness, we have to have standards, and we have to be able to integrate these applications together.
We have time for one last very quick
Okay.
question. What are you doing with all the money? You got $81 million in additional venture funding on top of $80 million that you had before. Where are you spending it?
Yeah, so we're not buying any boats or anything too crazy with that. When we looked at our strategy and how big the market is, we realized that there were a lot of areas that we need to invest in between engineering and sales and our go-to-market around our platform. Microsoft has raised more money than us, and so they do have more to go to bat with, and we want to be able to get our product to market in as competitive and compelling of a way as possible. So you'll be seeing us focusing a lot on our platform. There's a lot of really interesting things around taking the Box platform into different verticals, so healthcare or finance or pharmaceutical companies where they can build applications for their business, and that's going to take a lot of work on our engineering and platform side to do so.
Well, Aaron Levy, thank you very much for joining us here
Thank
on
you.
Valley
Great show.
View.
A lot of fun.
Great.
Well, next up, Fritz, we're going to talk about a network virtualization technology called OpenFlow. We have the guys from Big Switch here, but why don't you tee it up?
Yeah, so I mean, as we move to the cloud and especially private clouds with lots of server virtualization, we want to move more of the power into the hands of the administrator. And so OpenFlow is one of these new standards around software-defined networks. And we're going to hear a little bit more about that from Omar Baldonado, who's the head of product management for Big Switch. He's with our own Art Whitman at the whiteboard. We're going to take a nice in-depth look at OpenFlow. Take it away, Art.
Okay, thanks, Fritz. Sorry I didn't get the memo on the purple shirts. I'll do better next time. So OpenFlow, you've probably seen these bumper stickers running around on every Prius in the Valley. And so we're going to talk about why that's important. And so before we get into why OpenFlow is a big deal, what's wrong with the way we've been doing networking for the past 35 years or so?
It's amazing actually what we've been able to accomplish with the network, but what we really need is a new level of innovation. And let me explain a little bit why the network is feeling the strain. So if I just drop a simple network here, it's amazing the amount of applications that we've put on here, right? So here's a network. Back 20 years ago, email was probably the primary application on it. And then we introduced the web. And along with the web came e-commerce, and voice and video came shortly thereafter. Now we've got social networking. Now most recently, as we heard Aaron say, everyone wants to be mobile, right? So every application's got to be mobile, and there's this whole proliferation of mobile applications. So all these applications are trying to use the network. There's a lot of innovation, a lot of stuff going on over here, but the network is largely managed and configured in the same way as it has been for the last 20 years. There's some poor administrator out there that's seeing, oh, there's a new application coming on. I need to update this over here and this over here. And this network could be tens of thousands of networking devices out there that someone's trying to manually configure.
Okay, so then the solution is,
Well, I love OpenFlow, right, as the sticker says,
Okay.
but more generally we're talking about software-defined networking.
Right.
And where that starts is having, in each of these networking devices, having an API. And an API that makes the network programmable. Sounds simple, but we haven't had that until now. And then once you have this API, you can have a layer of software above that. We call it a controller. And the controller is going to be talking down and pushing instructions in real time down to the network. And this is the layer that my company, Big Switch, happens to make. Once you have this layer of software that's controlling the whole hardware underneath, you can then imagine applications being built on top. And this is one of the reasons we're so excited about software-defined networking and OpenFlow, is it brings this model of layers of programmable hardware and operating system and apps, this sort of horizontalization that we've talked about, and it brings it to the networking industry, which we've not had until now.
okay, so maybe it would help to talk about what some of these apps might be.
Sure. So you might imagine different services being deployed to the network, like firewalling, VPNs, isolation. Well, here are the apps on the network, right? Web, e-commerce, social, and they're needing to program the network. So I can have an application that would program the network to support different groups that need to talk to each other securely. I might need credit card transactions that need to be secure and isolated from the rest of the network. The Internet of Things. We were talking to a medical facility that has heart pumps on the network. those things have got to be secure too.
Okay, so if I'm a firewall maker or maybe a load balancer maker, this seems like it might be a threat to my business. How do you answer that?
Yeah. Well, I think, as more people have looked at this technology, I think that what they're seeing is a lot of opportunity, right? So rather than trying to just have this layer down here to program, they can now write applications even at this top layer. So if I'm a firewall company, as you're saying, I can choose to write very specialized hardware down here that's doing very fast firewall processing, or I can write an application that's working across the whole network. It's just another opportunity for them to put in their value.
Okay, so maybe an example that might be in an enterprise data center might help us here.
Sure. So in a data center can have thousands of servers connected up to the network. And the thing that's really kind of turned on people to OpenFlow is that those thousands of servers can now be tens of thousands of virtual machines. Server virtualization is taken off. So when I've got this this network of machines hooked up, now I've got, let's say, different groups that need to talk to each other. I've got red servers and green servers that all need to talk to each other.
They can all move around the network.
They can all move around the network, and there are thousands and tens of thousands of them. The poor network administrator is sitting there going, okay, red is over here now, but wait a minute, red moved over here, green moved over there, and we're talking tens of thousands of things that they have to track. With OpenFlow and software-defined networking, this becomes pretty straightforward because I've got this controller software layer that's figuring out, okay, this is kind of the virtual network on top of the physical network, and I've got these green servers that need to talk to each other, and it's a very straightforward problem for software to go program the network so that the reds can talk to the reds and the greens can talk to the greens. It's just like actually social networking, right? It's a very straightforward problem. Everyone thinks, okay, I should be able to talk to these folks, but not to these folks. I should see updates from reds, but not from greens. It's hard to do that in the network today, but with OpenFlow and software-defined networking, it's really easy to do.
Okay, that's great. So if people are interested in learning more, can you give us a couple websites to look at quickly?
Oh, absolutely. My company, bigswitch.com. There's information about network virtualization and some of the technology that we're bringing to market. There's even an open source site, OpenFlow, openflowhub.org. And you can even download some of the software and play with it. If you put in an email to us, you can even get one of those stickers.
Great. Thanks, Omar, and we'll turn it back to Fritz.
All right, great. Thank you, guys. And I like the use of red and green. It kind of fits with our holiday theme here.
That's right.
We get to play a little Santa here, and I know a lot of people are still doing a little gift shopping over the holidays here, and we have a few fun toys for the tech geek in your life. And at the end of the show, we're actually going to give some of these toys away in a drawing for some of the registered viewers of this show.
The online audience.
The online audience, yes. Sorry for the studio audience, but they have alcohol. So, David, what do we have here?
Okay, well, the first thing we're going to show off are DB Logic's in-ear headphones. And what we have here is a package that's showing the blue version, but just like a lot of in-ear headphones, you also have a lot of different colors. So why are we giving these away? What makes these special? Well, they come in this little case. That's not very special. Here are the red versions. What's special about these is they have a special technology on them that prevents your ears from being damaged in the event that you play your music or your audio too loud from your MP3 player, your iPod, or your iPad.
Like your Barry Manilow Christmas selection?
That's right, my Barry Manilow Christmas selection. You know, these are great for the geek who likes to play really loud music in their ears, but it's also great for kids. I mean, I think about my kids who listen to DVDs. You can't tell how loud the audio is in their ears. This will prevent the damage from happening to your eardrums.
Okay, we are also going to give away some games from Gameloft, some phone games. Some of these are on the iPhone or iOS and some on Android. First, we have Modern Combat 3, Fallen Nations. This is on iOS. This is Fallen Nation is an immersive experience in this apocalyptic scenario. I have played this game, and it's great for holidays. You shoot everybody up and you kill them. It's awesome. The next game is Nova 2. This is more of a sci-fi sci-fi shoot 'em up game. This is on iOS and Android, and I know a lot of people are familiar with that game as well. And finally, we have Asphalt 6 Adrenaline. This is the car racing game. I'm really bad at these games, but this is also for iOS and Android. What's this fun little thing you have there?
Yeah, so thanks for asking, because this is for the green geek in your life. This is from solarjuice.com. It's called the Juice Orange, and it's as you probably guessed by now, it's a solar charger for your devices, and it will work with just about any device. What makes it cool is that it comes with this little baggie full of different connectors for everything from cell phones to even a 30-pin connector for iPads, iPods, and so on. So it'll charge just about anything up. Solar Juice claims that 1 hour of sunlight is the equivalent of 2 hours of talk time. And you got this handy dandy hole here in case you want to lock it up. That's what they say the hole is for, to lock it down to some location. And then on the back, you've got these little legs that pop out so you can angle it in any direction towards the sun. That's Solar Juice. That's Joos, not Juice.
All right, and this right here, you will love this. This is called the Look-See camera. And this little camera actually, it's got an earpiece right here, so you can put it around your ear, and it talks Bluetooth to your phone, your iPhone or your Android phone, and then it streams the video out onto the internet to select people in your address book.
So speaking of cloud, we just had the whole conversation about the cloud. This is all in the cloud.
That's right, and what I like about it is you can put it in this little clip here, and you can put it on your, well, I'm going to put on my Santa hat, but you can put on your bike helmet. There are clips for caps, and you can take these things out to your kid's soccer game and stream them back.
So does that mean I can put this on top of my head, start taping you, and get rid of all these people?
Yeah, we can get rid of all the equipment we have here, and then we can even do special things like put this fisheye lens on there. It's magnetic, and it snaps on it just like that. So cool little technology from
Talk about the cloud eliminating a lot of jobs right away. Okay. So the next thing I want to show off is Harmony Link from Logitech. Now, what Harmony Link does is if you've ever tried to kind of use one of those universal remote controls and had a hard time using it, if you're an iPad user, maybe you can turn your iPad into a remote control. Well, this is the thing that does the trick. This is basically an infrared broadcaster. It'll work with all of your different infrared-based devices, your big flat screens, your audio system, and so on and so forth. And it integrates with your iPad. There's an app for that, and in the app you can actually pick your favorite TV shows, whatever it may be, and it'll automatically turn on whatever devices are necessary to play the content you want. So that's the Harmony Link from Logitech.
All right, we've got only a couple minutes here left, so I want to get through this quickly. This is also from Logitech. It's a mini boom box, and it works over Bluetooth. You'll see a lot of these coming out now, and we'll see a lot more at CES. I just like the size of this. It's quite nice. You get up to 30 feet of distance here. You can also use it as a speakerphone. So that's from Logitech, the mini boom box.
Can you hold it up here and get the same prestige you used to get in the 80s?
That's right, just like you did.
Okay, right, all right. The next thing we have here is the Kindle Nook. This is sort of a stand-in.
It's not a Kindle.
I'm sorry, Kindle Nook. Mindshare is everything. So what we have here is from Barnes & Noble, the Nook, which is, this is the black and white version. We're actually going to be giving away the color version. And you know, what's remarkable about this device is a lot smaller than your typical e-reader, so it's a lot more portable maybe fits in places that the Kindle from Amazon and other devices like the iPad can't fit. They say more battery power, it's a lot faster. They say 2 processors in here, a lot of different colors. You can get all of the magazine, newspaper, and book content that's available on barnesandnoble.com, plus your email. So we're giving away a Nook.
All right, this next thing is one of my favorites. I love this product. It's called the Zeo Sleep Manager, and I actually have it around my head here. And
you need a Santa hat too, though, right?
Yeah, that's right. You have to have the Santa hat. But there are a lot of technologies that monitor your sleep, and they allow you to they measure your body temperature, your activity, and that's how they do it. This actually has some special technology in it that measures your brain waves, and it knows when you're sleeping, and then it connects to this nifty little phone app and over Bluetooth, and then you wake up in the morning. These are my scores, my ZQ, my Zeo sleep scores. Some of these are pretty good, 58 not so good there, but it shows you how much REM sleep, how much deep sleep, and how much light sleep that you're getting, and it also helps you manage the sleep that you get and understand what activities you have during the day that might affect that sleep, and then you kind of dock it into this little thing right here and charge it up overnight.
How secure is the Bluetooth link? Like if I hack it, can I read your brainwaves and figure out what secrets you're hiding in there?
You can actually plant your own dreams in my head, which is just a scary thought.
Kind of like Inception and
Yeah.
Dreamscape, right?
What's our last thing here? This looks like a BlackBerry playbook.
It sure does look like a BlackBerry playbook, but that's not what it is. It is, in fact, the Kindle Fire, which right now is on fire. We're talking about this is the second hottest selling tablet on the market after the iPad. And what we've got here is the new Fire, of course, $199 if you're going to buy one. But as you know, Amazon is heavily subsidizing the cost of this. So it's clearly one of the reasons it's number 2 in the market is that subsidization has brought the price down way below that of an iPad. One of the great things you can do with this particular device is you can get, compared to previous Kindles, you can get all the movie content and also audio content that's available from Amazon and load it right onto the device. Oops, it's a little quirky here because we don't have it assigned to an account. But great gift. The product is definitely on fire on the market, and we're going to give one of these away to one of our lucky viewers.
Great. Well, we are going to do that in just a few minutes, but right now we're going to take a short 90-second commercial break. When we come back, we will have Ray Lane, the chairman of HP.
Since its debut in 2007, Internet Evolution has become the de facto source for independent opinion and analysis of next-gen internet technology and its impact on business, society, and the future. Always on and always relevant, Internet Evolution's unique editorial voice and unstinting commitment to debunking the hype and hoopla around internet technology makes it a must-read for its audience of information professionals.
The reason I come to Cloud Connect is to go and see what the latest developments are in the cloud ecosystem, and what the latest developments are with the companies I care about.
It fundamentally changes the way in our business, the way that services will be delivered going forward.
To get some direct feedback from the customers as to whether or not our solutions match their needs, and I'm able to identify where our gaps are so that I can help prioritize our future developments. The reason we exhibit at Cloud Connect is we sell to service providers, and this has been a great show.
Information Week produces over 200 in-depth reports each year, with industry-leading information, including our Impact Report, outlining the top 5 mobile security threats, our 2012 Enterprise Social Networking Research Report, and our 2012 Research Report on Business Intelligence and Information Management. Our mission is to help you make informed buying decisions. Registration is free, access to content is unlimited, and is a must-have for all IT professionals.
Okay, welcome back, and we're here again with the Information Week Valley View live in our San Francisco headquarters, and we're about to be joined by the HP chairman, Ray Lane.
What is this white wire that's dangling between us?
Well, it's like an umbilical cord, I thought, but actually we're going to bring Ray in over Skype. He's joining us in just a second, and while we're waiting for him, I thought maybe we could give away some of our gift bags to our online viewers. These names were drawn randomly. Anybody who registered to view this live stream on our website was entered into the drawing, and so we're going to announce the winners right now. There are 5 of them. So the winner, I'll do winner number 5, gets the Logitech Mini Boombox and the DB Logic earphones, and that winner is Alan Simon. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right.
So Alan's not going to be holding the boombox up against his ears because he's got the DB Logic earphones when he really wants it there, huh?
Yeah, probably not. Probably not. So why don't you do number 4 there?
Winner number 4, the gift bag is the Looksee. That's the camera that you can put on your head. Eliminates a lot of jobs, works in the cloud. That, and also all of the Gameloft games. That will go to William Trail. So congratulations, William. Looksee and Gameloft coming to you.
Great. And let's see, the third winner, number 3, gets the Zeo Mobile Sleep Manager, one of my favorites here, and the winner there is Kay Kang. And so that will be going out to Kay. And next one?
Well, the Color Nook, we showed the black and white version, but we're giving away the color version, valued at $199. That's going to go out to Joe Cardenas.
Excellent. And last but not least, we have the Kindle Fire, hottest product on the market right now, probably the grand prize. And probably the hottest ticket in the holiday season right now, right?
Probably, because of the cost of getting such a functional tablet.
Okay, and the Kindle Fire will go to Linda Sanders. So congratulations to Linda. Those prizes will be going out shortly.
So while we wait for Ray to join us, one of the big things is that we're going to be doing more of these Valley Views, and so what we suggest you do is you can go online and find out about the next 2 dates that we have coming up. The next one's going to be on January 25th, and then the one after that's going to be on February 16th. You can find out more about how to get email notifications, and if we're giving out prizes, how to get on a list to win those prizes for the next Valley View by going to tinyurl.com/valleyview with capital V's 2. tinyurl.com/valleyview2. And between now and that next Valley View on January 25th, we're going to be on video again. What are we going to be doing?
We're going to be at CES, our favorite time of the year, like right after the holidays. Get to go and see all the latest gadgets and gizmos in Las Vegas. It's quite a show from Sunday, January 8th.
That's right.
Through January 12th, I want to say, maybe even the 13th. It goes all week long. We get to see some of the funnest toys out there. In fact, many of the things that we're seeing here today, that we showed you here today, we originally saw at CES in Las Vegas. Maybe one of the things we could do real quick is just kind of tee up this conversation with Ray Lane. And we've been, of course, at Information Week watchers of HP for quite some time. Mr. Lane joined us at the Information Week 500 conference not too long ago to talk about what was happening at HP and some of the direction that HP was heading in. And he, what I enjoyed the most was he's very frank and honest about the direction that HP was going in. He probably spelled out for us in maybe the clearest way why HP was making the moves that they made. And so without further ado,
let's welcome HP's Chairman of the Board, Ray Lane. Ray, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Happy to be with you.
Great. Well, Ray, it has been, let's say, a tumultuous last few months there at HP. We've had a new CEO. That CEO is now gone. The acquisition of a big software company, the exit of the PC business, getting back into the PC business. But now you have a new CEO in Meg Whitman. Are you sleeping any better at night?
It's an interesting way to put it. Let me correct just a few things you said. First of all, we never exited the PC business. So I've had people say that over and over again. And obviously, we did not communicate it very well. But if you go back to August 18th, what we actually said, what Leo actually said, was we were reviewing strategic options. So, and then we later clarified that to talk about looking at one option, which was to spin it out. Because we have had a lot of feedback from shareholders and Wall Street that we are, and at the time we were selling shares below breakup value, it's incumbent upon the board and the shareholders to look at whether there would be value to shareholders of spinning out large units. In other words, if you don't do it to yourself and look at whether you're more valuable that way yourself, somebody else will do it to you or for you. And so that was the purpose, and it would be very hard to do that with PSG at a $41 billion size without it leaking in some way, without it, it would take 6 months to a year to really understand it, to really do the analysis, to find out whether this was doable, because you can't simply spin off a division that big without setting it up as a potentially very successful company. You have to give it assets. You have to make sure it has a board. You have to make sure it economically makes sense to both companies, HP and the spin-out. So there was no way to do this kind of behind the scenes, and so we decided to announce that we would look at it and evaluate it. And so there was never a plan to exit the PC business or get out of PC. I mean, all the scenarios I heard about closing it down, getting out of PCs, we don't like the business anymore, was simply to say, would shareholders and would customers be better off if we separated? Because PSG could offer equipment other than HP, and HP would be free to do whatever it wants to do with other equipment other than HP. And
let me ask a follow-up.
The cash that's generated by PSG might be more valuable as a standalone company. So I just want to make sure I have that corrected. said, we didn't analyze it, we decided not to.
So my follow-up question is, what is the one thing that changed that said, okay, we've looked at the options, we don't like them anywhere but keeping it in? What was the one thing that kind of tipped it back?
It was too expensive. The economics didn't work. So it would have been, long term, maybe it would have benefited shareholders in some way at an operating level, but the cost to do the separation, the cost to set up two companies, the cost to each company, and especially to HP, was too great. So it was not a good thing for shareholders, and the market actually gave us a lot of data to say it wouldn't be good for customers.
Ray, one of the things that when we look at HP versus the traditional competitors that it faces, everybody seems to have sort of the same sort of business alignment, if you will. We have obviously a very robust server division, PC systems, networking. You're also in the IT services space. For example, you've got EDS, and IBM's got global services. Dell had what was Perot. You've got the software. Everybody's now in the software business. What is the secret sauce? Is there any room for innovation if you look at all of that alignment for you to rise above IBM and Dell in this space?
So I think there is differentiation amongst those companies, but you're right. When we serve the Fortune 2000, we're basically we're talking about solving complex infrastructure and application problems, so we're all kind of talking about the same thing. I do think that we are more of a technology company than Dell and IBM. IBM is becoming known as a service company. So if you look at how it is evaluated, how it is looked at by the market, both Wall Street and by customers, it's known, and it goes all the way back to the days of Lou Gerstner, that it became less of a technology company and more of a services company. Now, what's happened is they've added a lot of software. So I would say software and services have become more important than hardware. Dell kind of started from a standard PC server base, has never been known much for innovation, but they've grown in this area, and then they've added services, virtually have no software at all. So I'd say that the differentiation is that we are a much greater part of our revenue comes from hardware. It comes from servers, storage, and networking. And networking is a differentiator from IBM and from Dell. So I think with the 3Com acquisition, with other things we've done in networking, I think that our competitor there is Cisco. It's not Dell and IBM. So I think there's much more revenue devoted to technology infrastructure than there is at IBM and Dell. And then in the services area, I think we're different sizes in the services area, but we do very different things in the services area. We are a software company of about, let's say about $4.5 billion now. So I think we're smaller than IBM in software, but much larger than Dell in software. So you'd have to reach in, and then of course there's no PC business at IBM, there is at Dell. So if you reach in under the covers, you'll see a much different story. So I think it's where we kind of went off course slightly in the last year, thinking that we could increase more rapidly than physically possible the amount of software we do, because HP fundamentally is a hardware company surrounded by software and services, and we have to, if we're going to continue to be a $100 billion plus revenue company, it's going to largely depend on hardware and technology to take us there.
Ray, you're mentioning that hardware is one of the big parts of your portfolio, but in the move to the cloud that a lot of enterprises are taking, as well as the move to virtualization, you do the math, it means there's less demand for hardware overall. How is HP going to maintain the revenue growth when there's fewer servers to sell to enterprises?
There'll be the same number of servers. There'll be more servers. They may be in a different place. So they may be in public clouds or private clouds, but you can't offer more services without more servers. Okay, now obviously there's efficiency built in that's always been built in, and servers become more powerful, offer more, more MIPS for less money. But that doesn't change. That formula doesn't change. So someone will be buying the servers, and if it's in a public cloud, it may be a different service provider than in a private cloud, where it still might be inside the enterprise.
Ray, in the latest earnings call that Meg did with analysts, she talked about investing more in R&D, which HP did last year, so it's even more on top of that. Kind of pictured 2012 as a rebuilding year, and 2013 as the growth year, and kind of said that back a couple years ago, HP maybe cut a little bit too much muscle. Is it possible for HP to grow fast enough through invention, through HP Labs?
Yeah, I think it is. Again, you have to look under the covers. So you can't simply take the R&D number at HP and divide it by its revenue. Again, you have to take out certainly some of the services revenue. Tiny amount of R&D might be devoted to services. You take out the software piece is a very small piece, which has higher R&D, and you get down to, okay, what's the core hardware, basically the servers, networking, storage, PCs, and printers, okay, and imaging, which is our core innovation, and what's our R&D against that. I believe that what you said is true. I know it to be true, that over the last 5 or 6 years, R&D has been cut back too much, but you can't simply say it's just we're at 2% R&D. I don't recall exactly what the number is, so don't hold me to it, but the number is at least twice that much or more if you go by division by division. So if you take Dave Donatelli's group, which is servers, networking, and storage, that R&D number against his division revenue would be much higher, right? 5% or something like that. I could get the right number for you. We've got to increase that number. Okay, so yes, and HP Labs has not, stopped inventing things, but it may be licensing some of its patents outside of HP. We got to start looking at what we're doing in HP Labs, focus on nearer term opportunities to take things out of the labs and put them to work. But as you can see, over the last several years, we've replaced some of that R&D with acquisitions. So we've kept up with the market in terms of technology. We've just used acquisitions of both software and hardware to keep up, whether it was 3Com or it was 3PAR or it was ArcSight or Fortify. We've kept up with the market by acquiring. I think longer term, we want to do that by inventing things ourselves.
Okay, well, Ray, thank you very much for joining us here on Valley View. We're out of time. We want to thank you for joining us, and maybe we'll come back for a future Valley View.
Hey, thank you. I'm happy to do it.
Yeah, okay, great.
Okay.
Great. Well, I would like to thank all of you viewing in the audience as well, including, of course, our own studio audience here. You guys have been great. As David and I talked about before, we'll be back on January 25th. Keep checking for details on our lineup there, and in between that time, we're doing a lot of video from CES. On behalf of UBM TechWeb and Information Week, I'm Fritz Nelson.
And I'm David Berlin. Thanks for joining us. Thanks, Ray.